Hello, my name's Healing Spirit. I'm the ancient healer. I have a battlefield surgery kit to aid the warriors who have been injured in the battlefield. This I wear on my back and I can go into any parts. It's very much the implements that we have here are exactly the same as what you would have in a modern day operating theatre. I have scalpels, I have retractors, I have knives, I have forceps, I have bigger knives for going in deeper. I have this one especially. This one here you won't see in a modern operating theatre because this one here has the Odin's horse, which was the 8-legged horse, which was called Sleipnir. And when I'm not using it for healing or medical purposes, I would use this for your colon. I use it to clean the horse's hoofs. So you don't see that in doctor's surgeries today. I would also use leeches for bloodletting or poisons. I would have various herbs and poisons which we would half kill you to sedate you to allow me to do operations to remove maybe deep arrowheads and things. I would have a bone saw to cut the bones, which can make a wee bit of a mess. And I would have this hammer for realigning bones, but this hammer isn't wood, it's made from deer skin. I would also have, this is called a Viking drill, which you can use it for starting fires or for making holes in, but I would use it for, it's called trepanning. So I would use it for relieving pressure on a trauma injury to the head. And these trauma injuries are usually caused by axes, which would be lit by axes, or they might be caused by flails, which was one of the sort of standard weapons that was used on most foot soldiers.
I'm Jim Glazzard. I specialise in reconstructing Viking Age metalworking practice. What I'm doing here is heating up a crucible so that I can melt silver in it. The silver goes into that ceramic crucible, which is very much like this one, which has been used earlier, so I can pick that up. Goes up to around about 900 degrees, melts the silver, which will then pour out into an ingot mould like that one, making this kind of silver ingots, which are the kind that we find in hoards for Viking Age silver, from the Galloway hoard, from the Curedale hoard, and this was used as currency in the Viking Age. They were swapping these, selling, using these to buy things. They'd use scales like these to weigh out the silver, and they'd be able to buy stuff with it. This is how kings paid armies. This is how craftsmen were paid for their work. And what we'll be doing here is turning scrap silver into another ingot to go into the Viking Age bullion economy. So the hearth here is charcoal with air being blown in a constant stream into it. That will get up to temperatures of, well, I can get that up to 1200 degrees. I can weld iron with it if I want to. I can certainly melt silver. I can melt copper alloys like bronze and brass. And that's what we call Viking Age non-ferrous metalworking. Just need to add a flux to that, which I'm using salt.
You're putting salt in there?
Yep. Standard rock salt. I have the instructions for doing this from a 12th century monk who wrote down this process. He wrote under the name of Theophilus. So, here we are, ready to go. You'll see how hot the crucible is. There we are. And that's just wax burning off.
And you called it a crucible, a pot in the middle?
Yep. You see that?
What's that made out of?
That is made out of clay, sand, and crushed up old crucibles. So that's the process of casting a silver ingot on the charcoal hearth.
My name is Kel, and this is my small kind of Viking compound. I'm a great believer that a lot of the Viking weaponry was made not by machinery but by hand. These swords, they're not chromed, they are usable, they are basic, but these are made out of lorry steel springs. There's a fair old weight in it, and you'll find that the swords purchased out with these will break against these ones. Once again, axe, again forged and folded, again crude, basic, but very effective. I'm a great believer that Viking shields and swords and weaponry weren't as they appear, all the same size. For me to use a shield that size would look a bit ludicrous. So we have a smaller type of shield that I prefer to use for fighting and jousting. Once again, this is made out of whiskey barrel lids. Very strong, very effective, and it won't break. You don't need to worry about damaging it. Now for the older gentleman, again, very basic. Piece of wood, piece of horn, joined together. Again, inexpensive. The older you get, the bigger the hills get. This is not quite Viking, it's more of a war hammer, which would be used for piercing chainmail or piercing a helmet. And then the hammer side would be used for flattening and damaging. Again, another piece of weaponry. This is more for reenactment or a bit of filming. Again, it's reasonably impressive. Horn, and again, part of a lorry spring. Not sharp, safe. This one was hanging on the back shelf. Once again, handmade, not made with a machine or anything, but unfortunately it's sharp, so it's got to stay on the back. It's not allowed out for reenactment, etc. This is a wee bit more of a showpiece. It can be effective, but it's well decorative. I made the basic, and a friend of mine helped me do the engraving on it to make it, well, it's a presentable piece. It maybe be carried in a ceremony or something like that. It's not just like a basic weapon.
The other implements that would be here for our slaves, this is a leg iron, and it's small chain that's on it, so that if you lift it up, you can't stand up and run away. You have to run crooked away, and I can usually catch you. When you started to be reconciled to being a slave, we would put you on a neck chain and you would be able to do your work. But slaves, as does everybody, get a bit cocky, and I have what I call my motivational stick, just to help them get on with their work. So this you've probably also seen. We would have handcuffs, which are very simple to work. One size fits all. That's them solid. And I would have this. This is called a fiddle yoke. Ordinary pillocks would have you like this, and being a small person, if I was distracted, you could knock me down or injure me, and if you ran away and you fell, you wouldn't really break any limbs because the wood or whatever it was that was on your neck would stop you. But with this, your head goes in here and your hands go in there. So your head would be in there, one hand would be through there, other hand would be through there, and now you're like this. So you can't injure me if you turn round or want to be aggressive. If you're going to run away, if you trip, unfortunately you can't break your fall, so I can usually get you back again, and then I think I would put something on you similar to this. So this would go over your face, over your tongue, and it would be on like that. We would also use that if I was trying to get information out you and you were going to swear to goodness that you weren't going to tell me anything. A few hours in this and you will chat till the sun comes down. That's called a brank. It was probably more common used and more known from the 16th century when the witches, the Spanish Inquisition would put it on ladies who they thought were going to cast spells because they were witches. Another form of ancient torture is called a throat fork, and this would go around your neck here and you would be deprived of sleep, and as you were trying to go to sleep this would pierce you, and eventually if you didn't tell us what we wanted to know, I'm afraid you would burst your aorta. And this is just another implement of making sure that you did your work well. We would use it for maybe breaking bones, or I have a smaller version for realigning, but this one's not as kind as the other one. So that's my table of doom with my various other internal implements for getting to the body parts that other ones don't reach. Well, thank you for listening.
Hiya. That's a normal Viking greeting, would be hiya, that I'm sure you're using all the time. Welcome to the Viking kitchen area. We're a fighting unit, so we all take part in all the things that we have to do in the Viking village, and although I'm Jarl Thorfinn, we're taking control of the kitchen at the moment. To do that because we don't have slaves with us, so we do it all, we all take our part. Once we arrive here at our destination, we would send people out to go and collect the foods that we need, and perhaps hunters out to get some meat so we can put something on the fire. Archers out, to shoot a deer, and spearmen out to go and get a wild boar, which there are plenty around at that period. And there's various other things. We could gather our food together, and we'd put together what we need and cook it all over the fire in a pot. And there are various ways you can do this. Of course, the normal, a stew or something like that in that nature, putting all sorts of things in. Or you can convert it using one of the flatter pots. If you take a flatter pot, and if we look at this here, and if you put 3 stones like this, and put on top of that a flat stone, and then you can put your dough that you've kneaded ready to make bread on that, and put the lid on over the fire, you have an oven that you can bake your bread very efficiently. And not only can you bake bread, but you can roast meats and cook many different meals in the same way. So our Viking kitchen is quite well equipped.